fills me in the air, it shivers cold and thin.
Echoes of the Forgotten Bride. Episode 17, The Harbor's Heart. Every town has a rhythm, a heartbeat, the pulse of commerce and tide and daily life that keeps it alive. But some towns have a literal heart, a beating, living thing that sustains them, that feeds them, that demands feeding in return. And when you live off a heart that isn't yours, when you take its blood and call it prosperity, eventually that heart demands payment. This is the 17th echo. Gregor Hale had been Harbormaster of Haven's End for 15 years, like his father before him, and his grandfather, and his great-grandfather. The position passed down through generations, along with its secrets, its duties, its terrible knowledge. The harbor was his responsibility, the docks, the boats, the safety of every vessel that came and went, but that was just the surface, the part everyone saw, the part he could speak about. The real responsibility was underneath, below the central pier, in the darkness where the water was deep and cold and something ancient pulsed with inhuman rhythm. The heart. Gregor had first seen it when he was 16. His father had taken him down, through the maintenance hatch in the pier, down the ladder that descended into darkness, into the space that shouldn't exist, the hollow beneath the harbor where seawater pooled and something massive rested. The heart was the size of a small car, barnacle-encrusted, ridged with coral, but unmistakably organic, unmistakably alive. It beat, slow, steady, one pulse every 12 seconds, each beat sending ripples through the harbor water, each pulse sustaining Haven's End in ways most residents never knew. His father's voice had been matter-of-fact, clinical. This is what keeps the harbor calm, what prevents the storms that destroyed other coastal towns, what brings the fish, what sustains the prosperity. This is the covenant, the original bargain. When the town was founded, someone found this, discovered that feeding it kept the waters safe, kept the town alive. Feeding it what? Dreams, happy dreams, the kind that come from contentment, from satisfaction, from people sleeping well. We harvest them, carefully, just a little from each person. They never notice. Sleep a bit less deep, dream a bit less vivid, but they're safe, prosperous, the trade is fair. Who does the harvesting? We do, the keepers, the harbor masters. That's the real job, that's the legacy. His father had shown him how, the silver lily hook passed down through generations. You walked the town at night, listened at windows. When you heard someone dreaming, really dreaming, you used the hook, slipped it through the window, through the air, through the boundary between waking and sleeping, and you pulled, gently, carefully, just a fragment, a wisp, a piece of the dream like cotton candy that dissolved in your hand but left residue. Essence. You collected it in a jar, and once a week you brought it to the heart, fed it, watched it pulse with satisfaction, watched the harbor waters calm, watched the fish come, watched the town prosper. It was victimless, that's what his father had said, what Gregor had believed for 15 years, just a little lost sleep, a little less vividness, but the dreamers were safe, fed, protected. It was a fair trade. Until Cora. Cora Hastings had opened a flower shop on Harbor Street 6 months ago. Bright, optimistic, she had a laugh that made everyone smile, had dreams, she'd told Gregor once over coffee, of expanding, of opening shops in other coastal towns, of building something beautiful. Gregor had fallen for her slowly, over morning conversations when she bought coffee at the same cafe, over afternoon walks along the harbor, over the way she looked at the world like it was full of possibility, like life was meant to be beautiful. They'd been dating for 3 months, and for 3 months Gregor had avoided her street at night, hadn't harvested from her, couldn't bear to, it felt too intimate, too invasive, too wrong. But the heart was weakening, he could feel it. The pulse was becoming irregular, the harbor waters were getting choppy, small boats were having trouble, the fish were scarce. The town was suffering. He needed to harvest more, and Cora's dreams, he could tell from the way she talked, from the way she smiled in her sleep when he stayed over, were vivid, powerful, full of joy, exactly what the heart needed. He stood outside her shop window at 2 a.m., hook in hand, hating himself, but the town needed it, the heart needed it, his responsibility demanded it. He heard her dreaming, could hear the soft sounds she made, happy sounds. He used the hook, slipped it through the window, through the barrier, and pulled. The dream came away easily, too easily. It was beautiful, radiant, golden, full of flowers and expansion and a future where she and Gregor built something together. He saw himself in the dream, saw her vision of them, and something in his sea. The hest cracked. He bottled the dream fragment, walked to the pier, descended to the heart, fed it. The heart pulsed strong, satisfied. The harbor waters calmed immediately, and Gregor climbed back up, went home, didn't sleep. The next morning, Cora was different, not dramatically, just subtly. The brightness in her eyes was dimmer. The laugh was a half-second delayed. The enthusiasm was muted. When Gregor asked about her expansion plans, she shrugged, said maybe, said she wasn't sure anymore, said it seemed like a lot of work. He'd taken her optimism, her hope, her vision of their future, just a fragment, but enough to change her, to dim her, to steal something essential. Gregor felt sick. This wasn't victimless. This was theft. He'd been stealing from the town for 15 years, stealing pieces of people's souls and calling it fair trade, calling it necessary, calling it responsibility. That night he didn't harvest. The night after the same. The heart's pulse weakened, the harbor waters roughened, fishermen complained, boats had trouble docking. The town council called an emergency meeting, asked what was wrong with the harbor, why the sudden change. Gregor lied, said it was normal variation, seasonal patterns would pass soon. But it didn't pass. The heart was starving, and the town was suffering. Cora noticed too, asked if everything was okay. Said the harbor seemed angry, her flowers near the waterfront were dying, the salt spray was too harsh, the wind too strong. Gregor wanted to tell her, wanted to confess. But how? How do you tell someone you've been feeding a supernatural heart beneath the harbor, that you've been stealing dreams from sleeping townspeople, that the town's prosperity is built on a parasitic relationship with an unknowable entity? He went to see the heart alone, descended the ladder without dreams to feed it, just to look, to understand what he was serving. The heart was massive, beating weakly now, desperate, and as Gregor watched he realized something. The barnacles weren't random, they formed patterns, writing, old writing, the same script he'd seen in the town's founding documents. He read slowly, painfully. The words were archaic but clear. This wasn't a heart, it was a prison, a containment. Something had been bound here, trapped, and the dreams weren't food. They were sedation, keeping whatever was imprisoned docile, manageable, weak. The covenant wasn't feeding a beneficent entity, it was drugging a prisoner, keeping it asleep. And in return, the prisoner's residual magic, its unconscious power, had created the calm waters, the prosperity, the safety. But if the prisoner woke, if it became aware, if it remembered what it was. Gregor understood why the keepers had never been told the full truth, why it was presented as feeding, as caretaking, as fair exchange. Because if they knew they were jailers, if they knew they were torturing something by keeping it in eternal drugged sleep, some of them might refuse, might choose to let it wake. And what would happen then? Gregor climbed back up, went to Cora's shop. She was closing, struggling with flowers that were wilting despite her care. She looked exhausted. The missing dream had cost her more than sleep. It had cost her resilience, hope, the thing that made her able to face setbacks. I need to tell you something about the harbor, about this town, about what I've been doing. He told her everything, the heart, the harvesting, the dreams, what he'd taken from her, what he'd taken from everyone, the truth about the prisoner, the covenant, the terrible bargain that sustained Haven's end. Cora listened, her face cycled through shock, anger, betrayal, and finally, a kind of exhausted understanding. So the town's prosperity is built on stolen dreams, on keeping something imprisoned, on parasitic magic. Yes, and you've been doing this for 15 years, to everyone. To everyone but you, until recently. Until the heart was too weak and I was desperate and I took from you. I'm so sorry, Cora. I didn't understand what I was taking. didn't realize how much it would cost you. Can you give it back, my dream? I don't know, I've never tried, I've never questioned the system, just maintained it. But Cora, if I stop feeding the heart, if I let whatever's imprisoned wake up, I don't know what happens. It might destroy the harbor, the town, everyone. Or it might just want to be free, to not be drugged and used and kept in eternal sleep. Have you considered that the monster here might be us, might be the town that built its prosperity on torturing a prisoner? Gregor had considered it, now, for the first time. His whole life he'd been told he was protecting the town, serving it, being responsible. But what if he was just perpetuating an atrocity? What if the real responsibility was to stop? Help me, I don't know what to do, but I can't keep doing this. Can't keep stealing from you, from anyone, even if it means the town suffers. Cora thought, then we let it wake, we stop feeding it, we free whatever's down there, and we face the consequences together. It might kill us. It might, but at least we'll die with our dreams intact. Our autonomy, our souls, that's worth more than false safety built on theft. That night, Gregor and Cora descended the ladder together, to the heart, to the prison. They brought no dreams, no sedation, just presence, just witness. The heart was beating erratically, weak, dying maybe, or waking. It was hard to tell the difference. Gregor placed his hand on it, felt the pulse, felt something underneath, something aware, something that had been aware for a very long time but too drugged to act. He spoke to it, to the prisoner, I'm sorry, for what was done to you, for what I've done to you, for 15 years of keeping you asleep. Of using you, I'm stopping, now I'm letting you wake. I don't know what you'll do, but I know you deserve freedom, deserve consciousness, deserve choice. The heart pulsed stronger, then split, not violently, just opened like a flower, like something blooming. And inside wasn't organs, wasn't biology, just light, soft, blue-green, bioluminescent. A voice not heard felt, I have been here since the town's founding. I was the bride's guardian, her protector. When she was sacrificed, when she was bound to the sea, I tried to save her. And they trapped me, imprisoned me, used my power while keeping me helpless for over a century, in darkness, in drugged sleep. Gregor felt tears. I didn't know, my father didn't know, none of us knew. We were told we were caretakers, protectors, not jailers. And now you know, so what do you choose? Continue the imprisonment and keep your town safe, or free me and face uncertainty. I choose to free you, whatever that means, whatever it costs. The light intensified. The heart, the prison, the containment began to dissolve, to become water, to rejoin the harbor. The entity freed rose, not physically, but presently, aware, awake, after a century of forced sleep. Thank you for stopping, for seeing, for choosing. I will not destroy your town. I am not vengeful, just tired, just ready to rest properly, to sleep by choice, not by force. The harbor will lose its unnatural calm. The fish will be less plentiful. The storms will come as they do to all coastal towns, but you will have your dreams, your autonomy, your souls. Is that an acceptable trade? Yes, we'll adapt, we'll build differently, we'll thrive differently, without stolen power, without parasitic bargains. Then I release the covenant. I free Haven's end from the bargain, and I sleep, truly sleep, in the deep where the bride rests. Perhaps I can finally help her, finally do what I was meant to do over a century ago. The light faded, descended, passed through the harbor floor into deeper water, gone, freed, at peace. Gregor and Cora climbed back up. The harbor was already different, rougher, more natural, more honest. They stood on the pier, holding each other, watching the water. What happens now to you, to the Harbormaster position? I resign tomorrow. I'll tell the town council the truth, some of it anyway, that the harbor's magic is gone, that we're a normal coastal town now, subject to normal weather, normal tides, normal challenges. Some people will be angry, some will struggle, but we'll adapt. And us. Cora looked at him. You stole my dream, my hope, my vision of our future. That's not easy to forgive. I know, I'm so sorry. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to make it right, trying to give back what I took. You can't give it back, not exactly, but you can help me build a new one, a new dream, one we create together, not stolen, not harvested, just made from choice, from effort, from real love instead of parasitic magic. I'd like that. Over the next months, Haven's End struggled. The harbor was rougher, boats had accidents, the fishing was worse, the prosperity dipped, people complained, demanded answers, some left, moved to easier places, less challenging towns. But others stayed, adapted, learned to work with the natural rhythms instead of against them, learned to dream fully again, to sleep deeply, to create visions of the future that were theirs, not fragments, not stolen, just theirs. Cora's flower shop thrived, not because of magic, just because she worked hard, dreamed big, built carefully. She expanded, opened a second location, hired staff, created beauty that came from her own hands, her own vision, her own restored dreams. Gregor taught sailing, taught people how to read weather, how to respect the ocean, how to work with it instead of expecting it to serve them. He was happier, lighter, free of the burden of being a jailer. And they built something together, a relationship based on honesty, on facing consequences, on choosing each other because of their complicated history. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't easy, but it was. Real earned theirs. One night, a year after freeing the prisoner, Gregor and Cora walked the pier. The same pier that had hidden the heart, the same place where the covenant had been maintained for over a century. Do you ever regret it, freeing the heart, ending the bargain? Gregor considered the town's struggling. People are working harder, life is less prosperous, but no, I don't regret it. This is honest struggle, honest work. Before we were living off stolen dreams, stolen hope. That's not prosperity, that's parasitism. What do you think happened to it? The guardian, the bride's protector. I think it's finally doing what it was meant to do. Helping her, being with her, maybe healing her, maybe just witnessing her. Sometimes the most important thing we can do is just be present, just see, just acknowledge pain without trying to fix it or use it or benefit from it. That's what you did for me after you told me the truth. You didn't try to fix it, didn't make excuses, just acknowledged it, sat with it. Let me be angry, let me grieve what you took. I'm still sorry every day. I know, and I'm still healing every day, but we're doing it together, that's what matters. They stood at the pier's edge, looking at water that was rough, natural, honest, beautiful in its unpredictability, in its refusal to serve, in its insistence on being what it was, ocean, powerful, dangerous, real. A town can't thrive on stolen power, a relationship can't thrive on theft, a life can't thrive on dreams that aren't yours. Eventually the debt comes due. Eventually the prisoner wakes. Eventually you have to choose. Continue the parasitism and call it necessary, or stop, face the cost, build something real. The hardest thing is recognizing that what you thought was responsibility was actually complicity. That what you thought was caretaking was actually torture. That what you thought was fair trade was actually theft. And then once you recognize it, choosing to stop. Even when stopping costs you everything, even when it means prosperity ends, even when it means struggle begins. Because some costs are worth paying, some struggles are worth having, some difficulties are proof that you're living honestly instead of easy. The sea remembers every bargain, every covenant, every parasitic relationship disguised as mutual benefit, but it respects only those who choose to break those cycles, who choose honesty over comfort, who choose to free the prisoners even when imprisonment was profitable. And those who make that choice, they don't get easier lives, they get real lives, honest lives, lives built on their own dreams, their own power, their own choices. And that, in the end, is the only prosperity worth having, the only peace worth claiming, the only love worth building. Not stolen, not harvested, not parasitic, just yours, earned, real, free. This has been Echoes of the Forgotten Bride, Episode 17, The Harbor's Heart. Join us next time for Episode 18, The Last Catch. Until then, remember that true prosperity cannot be built on stolen dreams. True peace cannot rest on imprisoned power. And true love requires us to face what we've taken and choose courageously to give it back.